Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, as you all know, yesterday was the first day of hearings regarding the appointment of Brett Kavanaugh to the U.S. Supreme Court. You had many people making many statements. You had Democrats on one side, and you had Republicans on the other side, and you also had protesters there, protesters disrupting the proceedings by yelling and making outbursts and doing whatever they could to stop the proceedings. And I want to commend those protesters because we need more of that. I want to commend the rapper Mysonne. I had a chance to meet him yesterday. A great brother, a humble brother, a soldier in the fight for social justice. So I got to commend that brother for lending his voice, lending his influence to try to make a difference here. We need to resist this Trump administration at every single step. And one of the ways that we can resist this Trump administration is by fighting his appointments to the U.S. Supreme Court. We need to prevent Kavanaugh from being the next Supreme Court justice. We need to do this by any means necessary, even if that means disrupting these proceedings, even if that means engaging in acts of civil disobedience. This man is going to change the whole direction of the U.S. Supreme Court if he's appointed. Very important things like voting rights are in jeopardy. Things like affirmative action are in jeopardy. If it wasn't for affirmative action, many of us would not have an opportunity to go to college or to go to graduate school, to become doctors and lawyers and other types of professionals. Kavanaugh is a threat to all of that. He's a threat to progress. It is no coincidence that the Trump administration nominated this man. Also, as many of the Democrats said, there are thousands upon thousands of documents that have not been released to the public for review. Documents dealing with all the work that this man has done when he was working for the Bush administration. They say 100,000 documents or pages of records have not been released that need to be released. How can they fairly evaluate whether or not this man should be appointed to the Supreme Court without the release of those documents? They say that the night before the hearings, 42,000 pages of documents were released. You can't tell me that those senators had enough time to review 42,000 documents the night before. It is only fair that they be entitled to review those documents before those hearings continue. We should not have a Supreme Court justice in place that's going to give the president carte blanche, who's going to give the president a pass to obstruct justice, to violate the laws. And that's what it appears that we have in this man, Brett Kavanaugh. So we need to resist this appointment by any means necessary, using our voices and our bodies to resist this. When those Republicans didn't like Obama's decision to appoint another Democrat to the Supreme Court, they resisted. They fought against Obama, and they prevented him from nominating his last Supreme Court justice. And because of that, Gorsuch was nominated and appointed to the Supreme Court. A Republican. Donald Trump was able to have his way because those Republicans fought Obama. And it's time for the Democrats to fight this appointment. Any Democrat that does not fight this appointment needs to be voted out of office during these midterm elections. They need to be voted out because if they're not for the people, they are against the people. And we don't need to have any of these wishy-washy Democrats in power. We need Democrats and progressives in power that will resist this Trump administration. This Trump administration is going backwards when it comes to civil rights. If this man, Kavanaugh, is appointed to the Supreme Court, our civil rights and civil liberties are in jeopardy. Affirmative action is in jeopardy. a program that made it possible for people like myself to get a higher education. Doors of opportunity will close to black people and other so-called minorities in this country if Donald Trump has his way. So we must stop Kavanaugh.